Hello from my side. I'm Veronika Michitsch from Austria, Klagenfurt, and I want to send you a warm welcome from our sunny weather outside. And I'm very pleased to be here and to speak to you now. I want to tell you something about our project that took part in 2015, 16, and 17 here in Carinthia. Um, it is about education at eye level with refugee children and teenagers. Um, yeah, in the transit quarter in Carinthia. Yeah, so flight and political displacement represent an abrupt and mostly forced and unplanned break in the biography of people, of children, adolescents. Especially for children and adolescents, the unprepared separation from family, circle of friends, educational institutions, social and cultural environment means a decisive turning point with previously experienced everyday routines and familiar situations that shaped a child's life in the past and made it seem classifiable. In order to illustrate the peaceful participation or the preparation of the accompanied refugee children for their inclusion in the Austrian education system, our pilot project, organized and carried out on a voluntary basis with an educational science approach, will be presented here and now and be used as an opportunity for good practice in the design of low threshold educational offers in collective accommodations. So, our project took part into 15, 16, and 17, and I have brought you some numbers. Um, Currently, we have about 80 million of people that are refugees from 5 countries, the most highest numbers of these 5 countries. Currently in Austria, in 2018, we had about 20,800 positive asylum decisions. And what is really interesting is the number about of the unaccompanied underage refugees. They were 390. In 2015 and 16, when our project took part, in the period of September to February 2016, this is interesting because we had 3,700 uh, unaccompanied underage refugees in comparison to the number that we have now. Okay, so this photograph was taken by me. It is a small word, but it has a very deep impact. It was written by a young man on a column after a human rights workshop with refugee people in the transit quarter in Carinthia. And this word stands for mindfulness and awareness and respect and appreciation towards all human beings, towards adults and children in general, as well as towards children and people with escape experience. And it was very touching seeing him writing this small word. It's about 5 centimeters, not bigger, in this very on this very big column in this hall. Concerning experiences of refugee children who arrived at the transit quarter, our research group found um, a lot of exceptional situations for these children, and we found that the children bring they have brought a huge number of exceptional experiences with them. For example, feeling the feeling of highest threat and powerlessness, or crossing different borders, or feeling separated from families on the run, and being a victim, for example, of sexualized violence. How were the health conditions of the kids who came to the collective accommodation? So they were examined medically, and we found that they had diseases like in diseases in the respiratory tract or parasitic diseases, exhaustion, vomiting, and we saw lots of blisters on the feet, lots of injuries on the feet, abrasions and sprains. Yeah, as we all know, flight is a transition, and especially flight for kids is really difficult because it doesn't only describe a phase of life. For these kids, this phase lasts for some years, for a lot of years, and is a period of discontinuity. Here, for example, you see me, this is me with a colleague of mine. There were about, I don't know, countless number of kids, and we were playing music and acting and playing the theater with them. They have arrived at a transit quarter and really upset, and it was chaotic, and we tried to make music with them to chill them. Yeah, transitions as well. As I said before, they are abrupt breaks in the living world of the kid, and they are accompanied by fear and a lot of stress, and of course there are also breaks in the educational biography of the kids. And Leitner calls it the chronification of provisionality. Yeah, concerning the children in transit quarters, what did our research group find here? We found really lots of stressful scenarios at the same time. And we found, and this is really interesting, we found that the longer the children stayed at the transit quarter, the more intensive they took part with the life there, the faster they adapted to change, the faster they adapted to new children, new friends, new situations, new people, the longer they stayed there. And what we also found is that they really definitely needed more pedagogical and relational assistance. And we tried to give them this assistance. And also, not only the parents or the adolescents, also the parents needed assistance, because they saw and that the educational biography of the kids was suddenly stopped. There was a break, and this was really disappointing for a lot of parents. And we tried to help them and the kids to follow up with their education, with maths and English and so on. In Carinthia, the school access in our reference period in Carinthia, there were about 1,000 children that started school, going to school, and this is, I think, a high number. Here are some photos for you directly from the transit quarter, and you see us working with the kids. You see some situations. You see the blue beds. They were from the army, and you see the kids being taught, making sports, learning German as a foreign language via singing or dancing or so. In addition to facilitating the children's guaranteed right to education and participation, and here you see the UN conventions on the rights of the child, our educational initiative focused on peace education and the creation of an open educational space for refugee children and teenagers. The target group was also cooperatively prepared for the impending individual transitions into the Austrian educational and political system. Here again, some photos of our work, educational work with the children in the transit quarter. And of course, we designed an educational image of the child, and this image led us through our project for 2 years, and we developed the kid as a self-active and interactive human being, self-forming and being able to communicate or to negotiate and to coping with new situations with his or her resources. We defined 5 principles of our educational research work. This was self-education co-construction. We co-constructed our educational environment with our teachers. We had 27 teachers, intercultural teachers, and with the teachers, with the staff, and with the kids and parents. Then we worked with the situation approach and the life world orientation of Hans Thiersch, because The refugee children, they had to face a lot of new and unfamiliar new situations of life. Then we did a lot of language work and, of course, social work and coaching, especially for the parents or for the for other people. Here you see the small hand of small Adam. Then he was 1.5 years, and now he is 7 years and goes to school. So the processes of self-education, as I said before, is one of our 5 principles of the social and pedagogical work with the kids. So the self-education here we defined as a highly complex process with active self-control. The children were constructing, creating, experimenting, building, painting, communicating, and asking questions. And we try to answer the questions in a company with the kids. Here you see teenagers in a teenage class of Afghanistan, and 2 kids in elementary stage, also from Afghanistan. Yeah, so as said here, the process of participation, the children discover and recognize their competencies, and we were their guides. We helped them to develop their competencies in this really chaotic and stressful environment of a transit quarter. Here you see we worked with puppets, and the man in the middle, he is from Syria, and he was one of our volunteers, and he was teaching German and Arabic and he assisted me teaching German, and he translated everything in the mother tongue for the kids in Arabic, for example. So it was easier for all of us to teach. We taught in 4 to 5 languages every day. Yeah, which conditions of impact did we have? Of course, our pedagogical specialists, the parents, the life world, the kids, and teenagers. And what did we have to face? We had to feed needs and requirements. We had to face life topics or stressful conditions. And we tried to develop together values and standards that were important for our cooperation in the transit quarter. Our key topics were participation, of course, peace education, and open space concepts to lead a successful training of the children and successful social work with the kids. Of course, we needed personnel, we needed individual resources with the refugee children and of our staff, and we tried to cooperate all of us together in a resource oriented environment. We also had to face challenges. What was difficult for us? It was really difficult to create optimal conditions for learning, for education. The transit quarter was chaotic and loud. We had a lack of space, lack of time, lack of furniture, lack of material, and lots of noise and diseases as well. And because of this, we tried to design a pedagogical frame that would fit for all of us. That means we had to feed individual personal conditions, individual pedagogical conditions, and we really tried to include, and I would guess we really managed to do so, to include all existing resources and competencies of all of us. As a good example, you see it here. We were using the resources and tried to make the collective accommodation pedagogically usable. On the right picture, you see Jasmine. Jasmine is an English teacher in Syria, and she had the chance to teach English again in our school in the transit quarter. The people with the yellow jackets are our intercultural teachers, and the other people are the participants. Yeah, so as you can see here, we really try to empower not only the children. This is, by the way, this is Masood from Afghanistan. We did not try to empower just only the children, but also the adults and our intercultural staff to give their best for all of us. And now let me lead you really shortly and briefly into our project. We will dive deeply into the project now for 5 minutes, and then we are at the end of this presentation. So, how was our project organized? As I said before, it was voluntary work. So, all of our teachers, we had 27, they worked voluntarily. It was low threshold and it was live practical and self activating, and we managed to organize educational classes, education classes from Monday to Sunday for all age groups, for kindergarten children, for elementary school children, as well as for teenagers and grown-ups. But we had to face unpredictable general conditions. So it could be that on one day, 800 or 1,000 people would spontaneously arrive and disturb us and in our learning circles. So, but we did it. Yeah, here you see the social work. We tried to live the language diversity and cultural diversity. We worked with music and movement, with social work, and of course, we had workshops concerning human rights and concerning peace mediation. And in our social pedagogical workshops, you see it here, children and grown ups play together, work together here with this colorful cloth, for example. Some criteria of our educational concept. You can read it by yourself. It stands for itself, like creativity, resource work, violence prevention, or language diversity, or open educational opportunities for all of us, even for me, for all of us. Now some photos again. You see the work with the puppets, language work. Above on the right, this is maths. It's a maths course. And on the right down, it's a German course with kids learning the numbers and alphabet. Music as well, and the old man on the picture above is a math teacher in Syria, and here in the transit quarter, he taught maths again in his mother tongue for the kids in their mother tongue, and he taught maths. And he had the opportunity to bring his job to the kids. We had 4 formats of the educational offers. We had an open class for all age groups. We had language offers. We had separate age groups. And we had, of course, cooperation with parents. And now let me slide you through a couple of wonderful pictures from our project. And I will lead you briefly through these pictures. There you see an anti-violence workshop on the left above. We also cooperated with NGOs in our town. We did not have a blackboard. We did not have anything. We brought it and we brought paper and pens and pencils and we worked. Gym class, music class, German class. The young man on the left is he taught physics and chemistry. Our kindergarten children. Yeah. And now, at the end, let me say thank you for your attention. This is the literature and the list of pictures. Thank you.